Greetings, everyone. This is Pete Gretz, Superintendent of the Middlesex County Public Schools. I'd like to give you a little bit of information about our reopening plan for the 2020-21 school year. The statewide closure of schools this past March brought unprecedented challenges to our community. Teachers, students, and families were all thrust into a completely uncharted environment. We scrambled quickly to provide learning activities and meals, and we worked together with our families and our community. We did the best we could. But what we experienced this past spring was really not virtual learning or remote learning. It wasn't homeschooling. It really was crisis learning. Our plan to reopen schools this coming school year will be nothing like what we experienced this past spring. Our intention is to engage every single child in meaningful learning activities to connect essential skills to their passions and to continue their academic progress and growth, despite the fact that school will need to look a little differently than it did before, even if just temporarily. What I'd like to do today is to give you some introductory information about our school's plan and to introduce you to some forthcoming videos that will get into the details of some of the aspects of that plan. So today, specifically, I'd like to talk to you about the 3 phases of the Governor's Forward Virginia plan, what unique details are in each one of those phases and how they impact our schools, and then I'd like to show you our plan for reopening August 24th. This past June, Governor Northam released a phased plan for reopening schools all across the state of Virginia. It's called Forward Virginia. It's a plan that was developed in consultation with several state agencies, the Department of Health, the Department of Education, the Center for Disease Control, and in that plan, there is a requirement that all schools deliver new instruction this fall. What I'd like to do is take you through, very briefly, each one of those phases so we're all on the same page with how they impact our schools. Phase 1 includes in-person learning at school for students with disabilities. There's a consideration for group gatherings of no more than 10 at any given time, physical distancing requirement of at least 6 feet, daily health screenings are required, face coverings, as well as no extracurricular activities or athletics allowed. Those are the considerations for schools during Phase 1. In Phase 2, in addition to in-person learning at school for students with disabilities, there's an allowance for in-person learning for students in pre-K through grade 3, as well as our English language learners. Group gatherings restriction of 10 moves up to 50 in Phase 2, and there is still the requirement for physical distancing of at least 6 feet, daily health screenings, face coverings, and extracurricular activities are allowed in limited circumstances during Phase 2. During Phase 3, which is the phase Virginia is in right now, and this is the phase that we assume we will be in August, and our reopening plan really has the considerations for Phase 3 included. This is in-person learning allowable for all students at school. Any student can be at school learning face-to-face. Group gatherings moves up to no more than 250 people, except for recess. Recess, there's a limitation of no more than 50 at any given time. There's still the requirement of at least 6 feet of social distancing, daily health screenings, and face coverings when the 6 feet can't be accomplished, and there's still limited extracurricular activities allowed. So the big consideration in Phase 3, even though we can do in-person, face-to-face learning at school for all students, is the limitation associated with maintaining 6 feet of social distance. In order to maintain the social distancing requirement, we can't have all students at capacity in our classrooms, in our schools, and on our school buses. In order to be prepared for any phase that we may find ourselves in this August, we've developed 3 scenarios, and I'd like to take you through those 3 scenarios that we're prepared to implement. As you look at this graphic, you can see there's a continuum. As the cases decrease, we move across the 3 scenarios, and as they increase towards the right, we move towards more restrictive environments. All the way on the left, we have just the traditional schedule that we're all used to. All students every day coming for in-person, face-to-face learning. As cases increase and as the governor's phases are implemented, we can use a hybrid approach where students do both learning at school and learning away from school at home. And then the most restrictive, as cases really increase, and in consultation with our health department, and again, as the governor's phases are implemented, is a fully remote option where students learn 100% by remote virtual learning. Our movement among these different scenarios depends upon the number of cases in Middlesex, the number of cases in our surrounding communities, and our consultation with the Virginia Department of Health, the Three Rivers Health District, and the Department of Education. And certainly as the governor implements different phases, they have different considerations for schools. On July 13th, our school board approved a reopening plan that we have used to guide all of our considerations and our decisions around the many different elements of reopening school. I'd like to walk you through what that plan looks like and how we plan to implement opening this August. Students essentially will be divided into two groups. We're calling them right now Student Group A and Student Group B. Each group will come for in-person, face-to-face learning 2 days a week and will learn remotely 3 days a week. And the reason for this schedule is in order to accomplish the physical distancing that's required. Our classroom, school, and bus capacities are restricted so that we can have the 6 feet of social distancing. You'll notice on the model, students in Group A will come to school for face-to-face learning on Monday. They will learn remotely on Tuesday and Wednesday, and they will come back on Thursday for in-person, face-to-face learning at school, and then they will learn remotely on Friday. Students in Group B will learn remotely on Monday. They'll come to school for in-person learning on Tuesday. They'll be at home learning remotely on Wednesday and Thursday, and then they'll come back to school on Friday for face-to-face learning. We have one day in the middle of the week on Wednesday when there will be no in-person learning at school. Our teachers will be working at school, and we'll use that as an opportunity to do a very deep, thorough cleaning of the school and disinfecting of the classrooms. And this will give our teachers the opportunity to plan together, to connect with their students on their remote learning opportunities, and to do professional development designed to support their work in teaching virtually. So as you can see, there are a lot of considerations that will go into developing this plan and implementing the plan. And some of those considerations are changing. We have no control over that. Our plan, though, is in the coming days and weeks to do more of these videos, to give you an opportunity to hear in more detail about some of those considerations, to hear about transportation. What will it look like for students to be on a bus with social distancing requirements? What are we going to do about cleaning our schools? We want to take you behind the scenes and let you see the way we're disinfecting our schools, to hear from our cleaning partners, Laser Clean, about how that's happening. We'll do information about meals and about other operational considerations, and we're going to do a video where we'll talk in great detail about what remote learning will look like. How will it be different from what we did in the spring? We're developing a parent guide that we're going to send out, and we're going to really keep the lines of communication open with you. So I just want to say in conclusion how much I appreciate all of you in the Middlesex community. Your patience as we have responded to the rapidly changing landscape and the different requirements, mandates, recommendations. We're trying to take all of those things into strong consideration and to work with our school community to make decisions that make the most sense for Middlesex. As we move forward, we're going to continue to communicate with you. And again, I want to thank you in advance for your continued partnership.